After the disbanding of the Avengers, the MCU's looking into the future and seemingly building up a few teams along the way, with the Dark Avengers pretty much confirmed with US Agent's new black costume, and the Young Avengers with Cassie Lang, Tommy, Billy, Elijah Bradley, and Kid Loki making appearances in the MCU. Things are about to get very crowded. While some of the following characters were not originally part of the Dark Avengers, there's a fair chance that the MCU is setting them up to join the dark side and embrace evil. Or something close to it at least. What would be their motivation? Death, of course. Death is the reason the events of Captain America Civil War took place. And this whole mess only got messier when the Winter Soldier was revealed to be Bucky, who is believed to have been killed during World War II. But also since we found out that as a brainwashed operative of Hydra, he was directly responsible for Tony Stark's parents' deaths. But what truly set things in motion is the Avengers. Iron Man's carelessness when they destroyed Sokovia, along with Ultron in Avengers Age of Ultron. The collateral damage, aka the whole town, took the lives of many, and among those poor souls were Baron Zemo's family. Having no powers whatsoever or amazing fighting skills, this led him to an elaborate master plan that would pit the Avengers and friends against one another. While this plan almost totally worked, and did its deal of damage, Zemo ended up behind bars, as you know, since he reappeared in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and gave us the sickest dance moves, and finally introduced the world to a more comic book accurate costume. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of Zemo. He ended his run on the show with a bang when he orchestrated the killing of all the remaining members of the Flag Smashers, hinting at the fact that his crusade against empowered beings is far from over. Wanda Maximoff has been through a lot. She was introduced during the mid-credit scene of Captain America the Winter Soldier, along with her short-lived twin brother Quicksilver. Not to be confused with the infamous Ralph Boner. Being tested on by Hydra, she joined Ultron in his mad journey, but after losing her brother in Age of Ultron, joined forces with the Avengers, growing ever more powerful. As we've learned in WandaVision, the death of her parents, who lost their lives because of one of Stark Industries' weapons, was the initial thing that brought her to seek revenge after Iron Man. While she eventually was in hiding with her newfound love Vision, she encountered once more another tragedy, as he perished at the hands of Thanos. This set her out in a violent spiral of madness when she created her own little artificial world, Westview. Again, the unlucky Avengers had to say goodbye to everything she created along with the new Vision, and her sons Tommy and Billy. Death was at her door once more, and in this case it motivated her to learn more about magic. And as she unlocks the powers of the Darkhold, she will finally face death head-on, and punch it in the face to get her sons back. John Walker entered the MCU hated, like really hated by every single fan out there. The former soldier who came out of Afghanistan with a heck of a lot of PTSD could have been the perfect face for the next Captain America, but the fact that he was so unstable ruined his chances at that. Trying to better the incomparable Steve Rogers led him to cross the line on many occasions. But what drove him to the edge was the death of his longtime partner, Lamar Hoskins, known by his nickname Battlestar. This is when he murdered an unarmed flag smasher in plain daylight in front of hundreds of terrified civilians who, armed with their cell phones of course, filmed the whole thing and posted their videos on social media. Needless to say, this was the end of Captain America 2.0. That is until the very mysterious Contessa Valentia Allegra de Fontaine came along like a dark Phil Coulson to recruit him and gave him a brand new suit, which was basically the same thing but in black. So scary, you know. In many ways, Death made US Agent, and with his affiliation with the Dark Avengers in Marvel Comics, more of it seems to be on the way. Thaddeus E. Ross, who also goes by the stupid name Thunderbolt Ross, was the former Lieutenant General of the United States Army. His actions were also motivated at first by death. In this case, the death of thousands. In response to the September 11 attacks, he was put in charge of the Biotech Force Enhancement Project, who had the goal to recreate the super soldier serum that was born during Steve Rogers' time through Project Rebirth. Of course, things did not go as planned, as Bruce Banner, who was the main contributors to the project, became the Hulk after experimenting on himself. Ross eventually became Secretary of State and had a major role in creating the Sokovia Accords. The man has constantly been trying to get control over super soldiers. As much as his actions may be noble, remember that WandaVision showed us that things are not always what they seem to be. In the comics, he eventually turns into this impressive, monstrous creature. And no, it's not Mephisto. With his appearance in Black Widow, his constant obsession with the super soldier serum, and the arrival of She-Hulk, he would make for the perfect enemy for her in his villain form, the Red Hulk. I really hope Red Hulk has a mustache. Did you see what I just saw? Yep, Kevin Feige confirmed this was indeed the Abomination in the latest Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings trailer. Fighting Doctor Strange's Wong, it looks like the mutated freak is about to cause more chaos for the MCU. The monster, whose real name is Captain Emil Blonsky, was always motivated by death in some ways, being a military man. After chasing Bruce Banner and failing at catching him, Ross eventually had him injected with a variant of the super soldier serum, but after being crushed by the Hulk, he was injected a second dose of the serum, making him even more powerful. But that's not all. He eventually had a transfusion of Banner's blood, which ended up transforming him into the Abomination. While death was his job, what really drove him was not the loss of people's lives, but a mix between addiction to power and an indomitable will to cause the Hulk's death. While he almost got into the Avengers initiative, but Tony Stark put a stop to it, it seems like he's about to make quite a comeback, and maybe Val, don't tell her I called her that, will pay him a visit sometime in the near future. Taskmaster's life is painted in blood. From the death of their father to the countless lives they were tasked to take, death becomes an everyday thing for them. Even their mask reminds us of the Grim Reaper, so Taskmaster's motivation comes from both a life they lost and the lives they took. Affiliated with the Red Room Academy, it's not really a big surprise, to be honest. As the commander of the Red Room, they possess a very rare and somehow uncanny ability. They're gifted with an extremely developed photographic memory that allows them to mimic any fighting technique they see, whether during a fight or by watching videos of previous fights. They spent hours watching videos that were captured by the Avengers in order to copy their moves, pick the best, and use them against them, or in this case against Black Widow. Taskmaster is an adversary not to be taken lightly, as they've stared in the eyes of death on many occasions, and they would not waste a single moment to strike a deadly blow. Besides the Taskmaster, one of the most intriguing characters who was introduced in Black Widow is Yelena Belova, who is seemingly set to become the next Black Widow, or something like it anyways. Yelena acted as a sister to Natasha, so the Avengers' death in Avengers Endgame will motivate her to join the forces of good against the coming threat that is Kang the Conqueror. Having gone through the same training as Natasha and being an excellent trained fighter, she will for sure be a great asset to whatever team is slowly being built in the MCU. Appearing in all episodes of the upcoming series Hawkeye, she will be featured side by side with Clint Barton, who will be training the next Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. Whether or not they'll get along is yet to be confirmed, but one thing is for sure: the death of Natasha and the love they felt for her is something that could help them find common ground. Set to air on Disney Plus in a few months from now, Hawkeye promises to bring closure to the death of Natasha and bring the MCU towards a brand new era filled with new heroes and villains. Well, that was a grim topic, huh? But remember, the end of something great is also the opportunity to explore new, fresh avenues. The Dark Avengers are coming our way, and I'm ready for it. Where are you, Norman Osborn?